I used to think being an Uber driver was the safest kind of gig work out there. No warehouse injuries, no angry customers in a fast food line, and definitely no real risk if you knew the city well. I'm a 29-year-old woman living in Chicago, and after leaving a dead-end office job, I took up night shifts driving rideshare, mostly for the quiet, less traffic, fewer people, just me, my music, and the late-night air. That night, or maybe I should say that morning, started like any other. It was a Wednesday, the middle of the week. The roads were mostly empty, the kind of quiet that only a city like Chicago can offer between 2 and 4 a.m. Just a low hum of distant traffic and blinking lights at empty intersections. I just dropped off a couple at a 24-hour diner on the north side and was idling near Lincoln Park, sipping a Red Bull and waiting for the next ping. Then it came. 2:03 a.m. Pickup request. Karen. Devon Avenue and Western. No rating, no ride history. Just a name and a vague gray profile image. That wasn't too weird. Sometimes new users don't bother filling in their profile. But something about it, I don't know. I hesitated. I tapped accept. The address was near an old bus stop. Not a house, not a building, just a patch of sidewalk where the city hadn't fixed the cracked pavement in years. I'd passed by it dozens of times, mostly during the day. It was near a row of abandoned shops and a liquor store that never really closed, even when it claimed to. I pulled up slowly, headlights cutting through the faint mist. No one in sight. I rolled down my window and leaned over the passenger seat. Karen? I called out into the quiet. No answer. I checked the app. The pin was directly over my car. Maybe she was late. Maybe she was hiding behind the bus shelter to get out of the wind. I was about to cancel when the back door suddenly opened. I flinched so hard I almost spilled my drink. A woman slid into the back seat. Not a word. She didn't say hi. Didn't ask if I was her driver. Just got in and stared forward. She had long, straight black hair that looked damp, like she'd just walked through fog, and pale skin. Her clothes were ordinary, a dark hoodie, black jeans, but something about her felt blurry. Not her appearance, but her presence, like she didn't register fully. You know when someone's in your peripheral vision, and they don't feel real until you fully turn your head? That's what it was like. Karen? I asked. She didn't respond. I looked at the rearview mirror and met her eyes. They were open, but blank, completely unfocused, like she was looking through me. The hair on my arms stood straight up. Okay, where are we headed? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. No answer. She just slowly raised her hand and pointed forward. The app hadn't updated with a destination, just unknown. I'd never seen that before. Look, I said gently, if you don't input a destination, I can't. Just drive, she whispered. Her voice was dry, almost cracking, like she hadn't spoken in years. I didn't know what to do. I could cancel the ride. I could ask her to leave. But there was something in her tone, something hollow, that made my fingers clench the wheel and push the gas pedal instead. We drove. For a while, neither of us said a word, just the sound of the tires on asphalt and the faint tapping of rain beginning to fall. I took us east, toward the lake, hoping she'd clarify where she wanted to go. I glanced in the mirror again. She was staring directly at me, not at the road, not outside, at me. Are you okay? I asked, still silent, still staring. I looked forward quickly. My hands were sweating. I tried turning on the radio to cut the tension, but it wouldn't play, just static. That didn't make sense. The signal in the city is always strong. Then she spoke again, barely above a whisper. He was right there. My throat went dry. Who was? She didn't answer, just turned her head slowly toward the window and pressed her hand against the glass. I swallowed and kept driving. I needed to find a lit area, somewhere public, somewhere I could stop and get her out of my car. I turned down Belmont, heading toward the 24-hour CVS. That's when she said the thing that froze my spine. "He's following us." I looked in the rearview mirror again. Her eyes were wide now, terrified. She wasn't looking at me anymore. She was staring out the back window. I checked too. The street behind us was empty. No headlights, no cars, just wet pavement. But she kept whispering it, over and over. "He's following. He's following. He's following." "Who the hell is following us?" I shouted, heart racing. Then something even weirder happened. The dashboard lights blinked, just for a second. All the displays, speed, fuel, battery, gone, then back. The car shuddered slightly. I slowed down. "Okay, I'm pulling over." She didn't respond. I pulled into the CVS lot. As soon as I stopped the car and turned around, she was gone. The seat was empty. I froze. The car was still running, the headlights reflecting off the glass storefront of the CVS. Rain tapped gently on the windshield, and my heart thundered in my chest. I leaned over the seat, eyes locked on the back seat cushion. It was dry, untouched, as if no one had been sitting there at all. I scrambled out of the car so fast I nearly tripped, breath fogging the air as I stood there under the flickering parking lot light. The cold slapped me in the face, but it didn't shake the feeling that something had been in that car, something wrong. I opened the back door slowly. Nothing, just my own breath and the low hum of the engine. Then I noticed something. The door handle was wet, but not from the rain. It was slimy, oily almost. I rubbed my fingers together and they came away sticky with something faintly black, like old motor grease mixed with something sour. I wiped it on my jeans and stepped back, every instinct in me screaming that this wasn't just some weird prank or hallucination. I slammed the door shut and stood there for a while, scanning the lot. CVS was open. The lights were on inside, but no one was around. No customers, no workers, just empty aisles and buzzing fluorescence, visible through the glass. I got back in the car and locked the doors immediately. The app was still running, still showed the same trip. Karen, en route. But the map was blank. No blue line, no destination, nothing. And then I saw it. The rearview mirror. It was angled differently. She had adjusted it to look at me. It hadn't been like that before. I adjusted it back quickly and started the car again. I was done. I was ending the ride, going home, maybe even uninstalling the damn app. But before I could tap end trip, a notification popped up. Drop off confirmed. Thank you for completing your ride. My skin prickled. I hadn't dropped her off. I hadn't even gone anywhere near a valid address. What the hell was happening? Then the second notification came in. You received a $6.66 tip from Karen. My thumb hovered over the screen, not moving. 6.66. It felt like a joke, a sick one. But when I clicked her profile again, it was gone. No name, no history, no tip. Just vanished, as if it had never been real. I sat there, breathing heavily, gripping the steering wheel, trying to calm my nerves. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was losing it. I'd been doing night shifts for weeks without a break, but the smell lingering in the car, like damp earth and rust, said otherwise. Still, I forced myself to drive home. I live in a quiet building near Lakeview. Old brick, built in the 1920s, the kind of place with too much personality and not enough insulation. I parked, got inside, and locked my door, triple-checking it like I used to do when I lived alone in college after a stalker incident. I took a hot shower, hoping it would relax me. I didn't even turn on music. I wanted silence, just something to feel normal again. But as I stepped out, wrapped in a towel and wiping the mirror. I saw it. A handprint. Faint. Small. Pressed into the fogged glass behind me. I turned around instantly. Nothing, just the tiled wall. I leaned in. The print was too high to be mine, and smaller than my hand. Delicate, like a woman's, but distorted, as if the fingers were longer than they should be. I stood there for a long time, heart thudding in my throat, listening to the drip of the shower head, every drop sounding louder and louder, until I shut the water off completely. I didn't sleep that night. I laid in bed, lights on, blanket pulled up to my neck like a child, half expecting that woman, Karen, to be standing at the foot of my bed when I blinked. But nothing came. The next morning, I woke up to a text. Unknown number, no contact. It read, "He saw you." That was it. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. I tried calling the number, disconnected. I tried screenshotting it. The image wouldn't save. And then, for the first time in years, I cried. Not because I was scared, but because something had followed me. It didn't end with the ride. Something got into my car, and now it was in my life. I didn't go back to work that night, or the night after that. Something inside me had shifted. It's hard to explain, unless you've been truly terrified before. Not startled, not creeped out. I mean that primal fear, the kind that lives in your bones and doesn't shut off, even when the sun comes up. I deleted the rideshare app. I cleaned my car, twice, with bleach, wipes, sprays, everything. Still, the oily residue on the back handle came back the next day. I wiped it. It came back again, always faint, always slick. My neighbor, Jamie, she noticed I hadn't been out driving and knocked on my door. I didn't answer. I didn't want to talk. What could I say? Hey, I think I gave a ghost a ride at 2 a.m. and now I'm haunted. No one would believe me. But 2 nights later, she knocked again. This time, harder, frantic. When I opened the door, she was pale as a sheet, holding up her phone with a shaky hand. "You okay?" I asked. She didn't respond, just handed me her phone. A video was paused on the screen. "Just watch this," she said, her voice cracking. I hit play. The footage was from our hallway security cam, the one above the stairwell facing our apartment doors. The timestamp read 2:11 a.m. last night. Jamie's door opened first. She peeked her head out, tossed some trash into the bin outside her door, and went back in. 10 seconds later, my door opened. Except I wasn't there. No one was. The door opened by itself, slowly, deliberately. Then something stepped out. Not fully visible, just the shadow. At first I thought it was a glitch, but then the shape turned toward the camera. And that's when I saw it. The eyes. 2 tiny white orbs, glowing, no reflection. Just faint pinpricks of light. No face, no mouth. Just those eyes and the sense of something impossibly thin. Standing, watching. The figure turned and walked down the hallway, limbs unnaturally long. The lights in the corridor flickered one by one as it passed. And then it was gone. Jamie paused the video. "I didn't show anyone," she whispered, "but I can't stay here tonight." She left within the hour. I haven't seen her since. That same night, I started hearing noises. They weren't loud, just small things. Keys jingling, the kitchen faucet dripping even when it wasn't turned on, the soft shuffle of footsteps on the carpet outside my bedroom. One night I decided to record. I set my phone on the kitchen table, screen down, recording audio through the night. In the morning I played it back. Most of it was normal. Ambient sounds, distant traffic, the fridge humming. But at exactly 3:06 a.m., something whispered, clear as day. It said, "You were supposed to keep driving." I stopped the recording and dropped my phone. It hit the floor with a loud smack, but I barely noticed. My hands were shaking. My breath came in short gasps. I hadn't imagined it. Something wanted me to keep driving that night. Like it wasn't done. Like I interrupted something I was never meant to walk away from. I should have deleted the audio right then and there. But I didn't. Instead, I replayed it again. Over and over. Trying to figure out if there were other words. Some hidden message beneath the whisper. I slowed it down. Amplified it. Reversed it. And then I heard something else layered beneath the main whisper. So faint I could have missed it. A second voice. Laughing. Not playful. Not joyful. It was dry. Hollow. Wrong. I started sleeping with the lights on. I taped black paper over my mirrors. I stopped driving completely. Not just ride share, but at all. But the car still sat outside. And every time I walked past the window, I could feel it watching me. Not someone. It. A few days later, the dashboard camera started sending push notifications to my email. Clips. Unrequested. Random. But when I opened them, they all showed the same thing. The interior of my car. Empty. Until it wasn't. One clip showed the back seat slowly sinking down, like someone was sitting in it. Another showed the rearview mirror tilting, adjusting on its own. The last clip. The camera flickered, and in a single frame, so fast I almost missed it, I saw her. Karen. Her face was half-turned, blurred, wet hair clinging to her cheeks. Her mouth was slightly open, and her eyes, empty black sockets. She wasn't looking at the camera. She was looking at me, as if she knew I'd watch it, as if she wanted me to. The dreams started shortly after, always the same. I'm driving, night, rain, silence. The GPS is guiding me, but it keeps repeating one line. In 666 feet, turn left. In 666 feet, turn left. In 666 feet, turn left. And then the car turns on its own. We end up in the woods. Thick black trees pressing against the road like they're trying to smother it. The headlights don't reach far. And then I see the same woman standing at the tree line, waiting, motionless. She never moves, except her mouth. Whispers I can't hear, but I feel them in my bones. I always wake up drenched in sweat. My hands feel cold. My feet tingle. Once I woke up with mud on my socks. I live on the 3rd floor. No mud, no grass, nothing that explains it, except maybe I've been driving in my sleep. The mud on my socks wasn't the last sign. The next night, I woke up with the keys to my car in my hand. Not in my pocket, not on the dresser where I always leave them. In my hand. Gripped tight, like I'd been clutching them all night. I hadn't driven in days, I was sure of it. But when I looked out the window, my car wasn't parked in its usual spot. Panic shot through me like a jolt of electricity. I ran downstairs, barefoot, still in my shirt and sweats. There it was, parked 2 buildings down, crooked, like someone had pulled in fast. I approached slowly, dreading what I might find. The windshield was smeared on the inside with something gray, almost like ash. The side mirror was tilted downward, pointing at the ground. And when I opened the door, the passenger seat was reclined all the way back. Not how I ever leave it. There was an indentation, like someone had been lying there, a faint imprint, so faint you'd miss it if you weren't looking for it. But I was looking for it. I touched the seat, still warm. My legs nearly gave out. I slammed the door, ran upstairs, and locked myself in my apartment. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the hallway with a knife in my hand, eyes fixed on the front door, waiting for it to turn. It didn't. But at 3:33 a.m., I swear I heard someone breathing in the corner of the room. I started researching, not the normal ghost hunting crap, but deep dive forums, old Reddit threads, Urban legends from drivers, taxi myths, paranormal rideshare stories, anything that might explain what I was dealing with. One story stood out. A cab driver from Chicago, 1978. He picked up a young woman outside a hospital. She gave him an address. He drove there. When they arrived, she was gone. The seatbelt still buckled. The back door never opened. Nothing. Weeks later, he drove past the same hospital again and saw her waiting. Same clothes, same exact spot. He didn't stop, but when he got home, there was a knock at the door. No one was there, just a trail of wet footprints leading away from his porch. They found him dead 2 days later. Heart failure, only 41 years old. I tried contacting the rideshare app to see if there was any record of Karen. Or that pickup. There wasn't. No log of that trip. No timestamp. No fare. Nothing. But I checked my dashcam archives again. I had set it to auto-upload to cloud storage. Most clips were blank or corrupted. Except one, a video labeled 2:07 a.m. PAX, the time I remember picking her up. I opened it. It started as usual. I'm driving. It's quiet. Then I hear myself say, "For Karen?" There's no response. But the back door opens. No visible figure. Just the door swinging shut again. I hear myself again. "You okay back there?" Silence. Then, barely audible, a reply. "Drive." The hairs on my neck stood up. I watched the rest of the clip. The car turns down that narrow side street. The camera stutters a bit, like it's glitching. And then, just for a second, the rearview mirror catches a reflection. Not of a person, of something else. Long limbs, a skeletal face, hair hanging wet over hollow sockets, looking straight into the mirror, straight at me. The clip ends with the screen going black and one last frame flashing in reverse color. Just one word. Soon. I couldn't breathe. I stood up and paced, heart pounding, adrenaline surging like I'd been running. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, no caller ID, just static when I picked up. And then a voice, not mine, whispered, "Where were you going?" I hung up. It called again. "You left too early." I turned off my phone, took the battery out, threw it in the freezer like a paranoid idiot. Didn't matter, because the next morning, the screen was on again. Battery reinstalled, and the lock screen had changed. It was a photo I didn't recognize, blurry, grayscale, looked like it was taken from the back seat of my car, and in the driver's seat was me. Only my head was turned all the way around, smiling. I started losing time. One day I woke up, and it was already 4 p.m. I never sleep past 9. The dishes were washed, trash taken out. Phone said I made 3 calls in the night, all around 2:30 a.m., 1 to a local number, 1 to a disconnected line, and 1 to my own voicemail. When I checked the message, static, then breathing, then a woman's voice whispering, "Turn around, I'm already here." I went to a psychic. Yeah, I know how that sounds. But I was desperate. The place was a tiny strip mall store, run by a woman named Sita. Looked maybe in her 50s, worn hands, deep eyes like she'd seen too much. I didn't even say anything, just walked in and sat down. She looked at me and frowned. "You brought something with you," she said immediately. "Something that shouldn't be." I nodded. "I don't want it," I said. Sita shook her head. "It's not that simple." I asked her what it was. She hesitated, then whispered something in Hindi before answering. "A hitchhiker." She explained that spirits like this, ones bound by trauma, ritual, or obsession, don't always attach to places. Sometimes they ride along, looking for hosts, people who pick them up by accident, or curiosity, or pity, or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I was all 3. She lit incense, said a prayer, gave me a small pouch of dried herbs, and told me to place it under the driver's seat and never, never speak to the thing again. Don't acknowledge it, she warned. That gives it power. The more attention you feed it, the stronger it becomes. What happens if I do? She looked away. Then it drives. I followed her instructions. For a while, it seemed to work. No more dreams, no more calls. The warmth in the back seat faded. The scent of ash in the car finally disappeared. I even considered driving again, just once, just to see. But something held me back. A voice. Software familiar. Drive. No thanks. I stayed in, blocked every window, and for 3 weeks, nothing happened. Until one night, I got a ping from the rideshare app, even though I'd deleted it. The notification read, "One rider waiting, Karen." Dobaje Suba. I stood frozen in my apartment, phone clenched so tight, I thought the screen might crack. The notification still glowed. "One rider waiting, Karen, 2 a.m. No accept button, no decline. Just the name and the time. I looked at the clock. 1:53 a.m. 7 minutes. It was like the app knew I'd see it, like it had timed itself to her schedule. I stared at it, heart thudding like a drum line, telling myself not to panic. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe it was a cruel joke. Or maybe she was calling me back. I turned off the phone. Not just screen off, full shutdown, yanked the SIM, pulled the battery again. This time I smashed it with a hammer, crushed the screen into 100 glittering pieces. I swept them into a shoebox and dumped them outside. Then I sat on my bed, eyes on the clock, 1:59 a.m. My apartment went cold, like really cold, the kind that crawls into your bones. The lights dimmed, flickered, like someone was tampering with the breaker. And then 3 slow knocks on my door. I didn't move. Another 3 knocks, but softer, almost polite. I walked to the peephole. My breath fogged the inside of it. There was no one there. But on the floor, just in view of the peephole, something lay folded, a rideshare receipt. I opened the door just a crack. Wind whipped in like a scream. I grabbed the paper and slammed the door shut. It read, "Trip summary rider, Karen pickup. Time, 2 a.m. Driver, you drop off, unknown. Status, in progress. Rating, pending." I dropped it, ran to the bathroom, turned on every light in the house. I looked in the mirror, and for half a second, the reflection wasn't mine. It was her. That same wet-haired, hollow-eyed face, grinning, right before the lights exploded. The rest of the night passed in fragments, flickers of memory. I remember standing by my car, in the freezing dark, opening the door without thinking. I remember the sound of the engine turning on, even though I never touched the keys. I remember the feeling of the back seat growing heavier, like something enormous had just settled in behind me. And her voice again. "Drive." But I didn't obey. I turned around. The back seat was empty. For a moment I thought, maybe, just maybe. But then I saw it. The rearview mirror. There she was, staring at me. And she wasn't in the back seat. She was in the mirror. Not a reflection, a presence, like she had climbed into it, like the mirror was a doorway, and she was crawling through it, into the car, her face pressed against the glass, skin gray and rotted like a drowned corpse, mouth wide, wider than it should be, full of teeth like nails. And then she said something different, not drive. This time she whispered, "You're the passenger now." I woke up in a ditch, just outside the city, daylight pouring in. My car was idling nearby, doors open, windshield cracked. I stumbled toward it. The front seat, mine, was soaked in water. Seatbelt buckled, but I hadn't been in it, and the dash cam, still recording. I took it inside and uploaded the footage. I don't know why I still torture myself like this. Maybe because I need proof I'm not insane. Maybe because I already know I am. The last video on the cam showed me driving. No expression, eyes wide, unblinking. And in the back seat, a figure, at first blurry, then slowly gaining shape. She leans forward, face inches from my ear, and then, as if knowing exactly when I'd watch this, she looks into the camera, smiles, and whispers, "See you soon." It's been a few weeks. I don't drive anymore. I sold the car, moved to another state, new name, new apartment, no phone, no mirrors in the house. I sleep during the day, stay awake at night, because that's when she comes. I can feel it, the shift in air pressure, the low hum in the pipes, and every now and then, right at 2 a.m., I hear tires outside my window, slowing down, idling, waiting. Once I peeked. There was no car, but there were footprints in the snow, leading to my door, none going back, and taped to the peephole. Another receipt, same as before, only this time the status wasn't "in progress." It just said, "You never dropped her off."